are wonderful. We're pretty wonderful. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I will be regaling you with my amazing pipe smoking capabilities.
As he almost sets an entire box of matches on fire.
I mean, isn't that part of smoking a pipe? I thought that was like part of the thing.
I mean,
if you don't set some, if you don't set something on fire, you're not doing it.
If you don't, call him.
I will send you to Jesus.
Well, speaking of sending to Jesus, we're the Black Tower Podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast. And we send out to everyone we possibly can all the tainty waves that we have to offer. I am, of course, your Bajan Mahil, Andrew.
I am your Sodovan Mahil, Josh.
And I am your Amin Khan Mahil, Daniel. And it is lovely to have you here on this another wonderful Tuesday evening if you are listening live or whatever the fuck day you want it to be if you're not.
Yeah, that tracks. That's how YouTube works, isn't it? I think.
That is how YouTube works.
For the most part, yeah. Oh,
that is accurate. And you should, even though the sale will not be going, you should keep an eye on our merch shop because we got some exciting new designs coming your way.
Yep, it's pretty dope stuff.
Indeed.
We're super excited. We got to get on that actually, which we will be doing soon. We're really excited for everybody to see that.
I'll commit to doing that tomorrow, June 8th.
You heard it from the Sorvan Mahil's mouth and pipe.
Live chat is already hopping, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be a part of live action? Get in here. Join our Patreon. Go to blacktowerpod.com. You'll see our Patreon link.
Uh-oh. We have hats.
Interesting.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that was
happening. The lead mistress has picked out some gifts.
I'm excited. Oh, and I found a new groundbreaking life hack strategy. So normally, most of the time I get up to leave or walk away in the middle of recording, it is to refill my glass of tainty inspiration. But I have this.
Taintspiration?
Ooh.
Yes. So I can mix up.
Andrew? Is it just a really big alcoholic beverage?
I mean, well, technically, yes. It's a 40-ounce hydro flask of taint. But it works perfectly to pour and refill my regular glass. So I don't have to get up and leave as often.
40 ounce of taint on.
And tonight, just like this past Sunday night over on Watchinary, I'm drinking. I already can't speak. Okay. I either need more or I need less.
Yeah.
You're not in the slot right now. You're still
I'm not.
Yeah, just to let you know, guys, this is gonna be a rough episode. We'll tell you what the topic is in a bit to tell you exactly how rough it's gonna be. But this is why all of us need to be drunk and or high as balls to go ahead and get through this episode.
I should have taken like 12 shots before I even started recording. I should have been so fucking blitzed. I couldn't even find the record button.
You should have done as many shots as there are rings.
That's fair. I could do that.
Man.
I just bought a handle of Sailor Jerry, but I'm drinking rum punch.
I thought we did.
Which looks way more
we
red.
did this one last week.
Sort of. Not totally.
But if you want more Black Tower podcast stuff, then you get here. Or if you're listening to this on YouTube and you're like, oh, live chat sounds dope, I want to hop in, which you can do for just $1 a month, honestly. And we really support. We really appreciate the support, not support the appreciate, but we do support your appreciation. It all helps. It lets us do fun stuff. It lets us get fun stuff for the podcast and for everybody that supports us. And yeah, it's super, super appreciated, but by no means required. So if you can't quite do it or you want to do it for a limited time, you can. And if you want to wait till tax season and dump an entire year's worth of support at one time, we'll see you around tax season. but you can do that. So, but you can get links to that, our Discord, our merch store, both on Spreadshirt and on New Creations by Jim by going to blacktowerpod.com. There's your one-stop shop for all things Black Tower podcasts.
Fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah,
Jack.
it's pretty dope. There's pictures up there from JordanCon 2022. There will be pictures up there from WhatCon, the inaugural WhatCon 2022, which we will all be at. And as you're listening to this
as well.
Yep. And if you're listening to this on YouTube when it's public, go ahead and make sure you have your vaccination status confirmations in, because from the date this goes live on the 17th, as of right now, you only have roughly a week to take and get that vaccination proof in. That is literally 2 weeks before the con starts. That is the minimum amount of time CDC recommends or states that you have to have before you are considered fully vaccinated. So we're going with that. As of right now, if you're listening to us live and you're like, I don't know enough about WhatCon, there's going to be a large information dump tomorrow on the Dusty Will. So,
nice.
Yep, June 8th, regular Dusty Will time. I think the schedule for the show might already be up. May not be. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I haven't looked, to be honest with you, but I know it's happening, and there's some cool guests that are going to be there to talk about it. Not us.
Same Dusty Wheel time, same Dusty Wheel channel.
Yeah. So,
it's like, baby.
There's somebody else that they should check out, and they can get to them from blacktowerpod.com. Who would that be? Joshy Poo?
Look at the Indiana Jones looking chibi of the cute lady who's got a rock pick and a rope and is ready to do some exploration. And you'll find that is the Crystal Barista. Click that amazing little chibi and go on to her website, and you can see all the events that are coming up. If you are in the area or you want to be in the area, you can join us on your very own rock hounding tours where we take people out. You can subscribe. There are numerous different subscription boxes, and say, oh, that's just too extra and you just don't want to. You can look on the website. You can look through the Facebook page and see if there's any shinies that you like that you can buy and take home.
That's what I did. You can't see them because I'm, of course, in the way.
It's actually a really great thing to do for your significant other, because everyone loves shiny rocks. Everyone.
They are really shiny. Pretty sure like this one is one of my favorites. Look at that shine.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Maximum shine.
Oh yeah.
But that's enough of the promos, enough of the plugs. Go and check out all the stuff. Go and do all the stuff, and we'll see you at all the stuff you do, hopefully.
Yeah, we really probably should stop plugging Josh's wife.
I mean,
okay.
That's outside of my sphere of decision.
Good answer.
Namely because I know somebody that would absolutely murder me.
Oh, I know 2 people who would absolutely murder you.
Who?
I know 3.
Joke's on you. I know it doesn't.
So tonight, we are discussing a subject so vile, so rancid, that those of you with weak constitutions may want to prepare yourself. Sit down. Do not drive while listening to this episode. Do not operate heavy machinery while listening to this episode. Guys,
actually,
we covered some tainty topics.
Hold on, stop.
This one takes the cake.
I'm gonna say definitely operate heavy machinery and make sure to turn on a video. Make sure to be filming while you're operating heavy machinery, because you'll get a lot of likes for what's gonna happen to you.
That's true. We could make a career for you right now.
You can probably get your 15 minutes.
I mean, OSHA might be upset,
Courtesy
but when is safety
of the
not
Black
upset?
Tower. Courtesy of the Black Tower.
Never.
You're welcome.
Exactly.
What do you make
But
it
to
work?
avoid-
Oh, mostly bad decisions and OSHA violations.
Pretty much. But to help you be equipped as whether or not you
That's
are
the
prepared for this bad
Mortar
decision
holds
or
the Black
not,
Tower together.
we're going to give you a warning right now.
Welcome to the Black Tower, a Wheel of Time podcast. All right, let's check this one. This podcast will likely be spoiling books 1 through... Oh, what's this? An envelope addressed to me. No name, though. Let's see what's inside. Oh my. This podcast will likely spoil all the books in the series, and apparently being a Patreon will expose you to information that should be left unseen. Protect yourself by pulling that spoiler condom all the way on. And I need a drink. That's way more of Andrew than I have ever wanted to see. Why would you braid it down there?
Again, as I always have to say after that particular one, if you have enough, why wouldn't you braid it down there? Jesus.
Just seems like hygiene.
Yeah. And fashion. God, it's called fashion, Karen.
The Nordic people understood this.
Mm-hmm.
You braid,
if
you
it-
comb, you brush, you braid. It's hygiene.
If it's going to stick out of the Speedo anyway, you might as well make it stylish.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There's
Any
your imagery.
Any foliage must be well groomed.
Didn't they do that in one of the scary movies?
Yes, that they did. It was horrid. I blocked it from my memory, but now it's back.
Well, you're welcome for that.
And
imagery.
now it's back from outer space. It just came in to find you with that sad look upon your face.
So,
well, speaking of things that make you shiver and go, "Oh," what are we talking about today, Josh?
oh my God, guys, this is going to push us to the brink. This is going to push us to the limit. We've dipped our toes in the taint. We've dabbled a bit with the dealings of the Dark One. We have woven a tapestry of words that are worthy of cringe numerous times. But tonight, we are going to tonight takes the cake, okay? Tonight, we're talking, it's a background breakdown, and I think you guys know where this is going. We're going to talk about duck sauce. It's got to happen. We're talking about duck sauce.
Yeah, we're talking about duck sauce. Or for the uninitiated on who duck sauce is, we are talking about Gawyn Tracker. Gawyn Tracker. Duck sauce packet boy extraordinaire.
Oh, boy.
First prince of the dumbass. Brother to Elaine, son of the woman who got dick down so good she had to go into hiding.
Son of a bitch. Wait, what?
No, he's not a son of a bitch. Morgaze is strict and firm, but she's not a bitch.
I mean, okay. That's fair.
Well, let's talk about kind of one of the cool things that the story of Gawyn, and because it doesn't really tell us anything about Gawyn, it tells us more about Andor and the Lion Throne. When we meet Gawyn, and as Gawyn's kind of talking to Rand around Elaine and all that, through Gawyn's story, we find out that that Andor's Lion Throne can only ever be held by a matriarch. So as a male child of the queen, he is 100% ineligible to sit on the ruling throne of Andor. And that is, of course, going to be Elaine's purpose as, what's her official title? First Princess of the Baths or something like that?
Oh,
daughter
I'm telling
heir,
you,
daughter
they're
heir,
the
that's
same character. They're the same.
Oh God,
No, they're not.
this argument again.
I will die on this hill.
I'm sure you'll try.
I feel like they're, those math equations that you had in like high school that they would have you like solve a problem, get an equation or get the answer, graph it, and it would be like, or just like go up and then they have the other one go down and they'd be like, oh, you should see an X on your TI 83 over expensive piece of junk fucking calculator that I hate it because I hate math. It's actually a really good calculator. I just hate math. That's Gawyn and Elaine. Elaine is on the track up, but she like goes up and then stagnates. Gawyn just goes down and he like, instead of hitting the plateau and being like, you know what, I think I'm enough of a fuckhead right here. He goes, hey, Elaine, hold my beer. It just keeps going down.
Hey, Elaine, look what I can do.
Well, it's like a bunch of plateaus with like sharp drops, I guess. So it's like the inverse of like a good heart monitor, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Are the same character in book 1. Okay. Now, obviously, they have wildly different story arcs. And eventually, Elaine is shown to be able to learn from mistakes and grow from them and be better for it. And Gawyn seems to consistently choose the wrong choice. And let's start from the beginning and let's walk through his story arc, because we first meet him when Rand falls over the wall and Elaine and Gawyn are like, oh look, it's a peasant boy. Let us talk to him. And they're kind of like, talking to him, being like, hey, let's get y'all fixed up. And Rand's like, oh shit, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Galad snitches on him. They bring him before the queen. And like, Gawyn is actually kind of a likable character in this instance. He's a bit of a snoot, but so is Elaine. But they're royal kids. Like, come on. And he is actually right there with us complaining about Galad. Being like, oh my God, Galad is the worst. And
oh my God, Galad,
I almost wonder,
just like once, just seriously one time,
please.
Could you just not?
And I think I almost wonder if there's a portion of Gawyn that admires Galad. And that's why he makes the decisions that he does, because in the moment, he feels like he's making the right decision. And he always views Galad, because I believe he even says something about how Galad never has to worry about making a decision. He always knows the right thing, and he does the right thing regardless of the situation. Doesn't matter. Like he makes that point. So I almost wonder if Gawyn sort of, when he starts to feel lost, or when he starts to feel like he needs to figure something out, I think he takes some inspiration from his older stepbrother Galad. I'm making a reach here, by the way.
It's definitely a little WWGD.
Galad.
What would Galad do in this situation? That is what I need to figure out. Not what would Batman do, not what would Jesus do, definitely not what would Rand do, but what would Galad do in this situation?
It's interesting too, because Gawyn has an ordained, like as of birth, purpose and role to fulfill in the Andorran royal court. As the eldest male child to the queen. And now that the queen has a female heir to the throne, or just an heir to the throne, because it can only be a daughter, he now has a cemented place and purpose to exist within the royal court of Andor. Galad, on the other hand, does not. Galad only exists in the royal court simply by blood relation, being the son.
Tarangale?
As far as we know, the only son, obviously we find out later he's not the only son of Tigraine, but it is the only son of Tigraine and Tarangale, Damodred. Not Damodred, Damodred.
Damodred, yeah. Karen
I
Gold.
was like, wait a minute.
That sounds like
Is there
Ned
something
Flanders
I've just missed
got
about
caught
these
like
books?
sounds like Ned Flanders got caught like cussing, like damn, oh dread. Like really weird. Well, not
Yeah.
Ned
You know
Flanders.
what it reminds me of? It feels like it actually was Demandred and he just slipped up once and was like, fuck. Yeah, no, it's Terrangale, or it's Demandred. I mean, fuck. Terrangale Damodred.
Toogly Moogly. No.
Right?
Yeah. Which is funny because this is where we get like obviously where you get into the weird parts, and this is totally not on topic, but about how Rand is actually related to one of his wives, and Galad and Gawyn. Because Galad, as the son of Tigraine and Terrangale, is related to Rand through Tigraine. And then since Galad and not Galad, since Gawyn and Elaine share the same father as Galad, they are also related to Rand
Yes, but they are
through
loosely.
Terrangale.
Yeah. And here's the best part. Here's
And
the
we
There's
all
a
best
blood
know
link
part.
there, but
from-
not directly between them.
And
Rand
we all know
and
that
Moraine
if
are
it's
like-
a step away, then it's okay.
And
Yeah.
Rand and Moraine are like fourth cousins or something crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're both House
It
Damodred.
feels like what was that science fair project that like there was a young girl in like middle school or something that did a history project tracking the lineage of presidents and found that like all but like 5 or something were related
Yep.
up
I
to
believe-
like Bush Jr. or
I
something.
believe in a much more layman's term, it is called the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You guys know what that is, right?
We are fully aware. I think Andrew.
You
can we
just looked at me like I couldn't tell
Can
if
we
that was
just-
judgment
Can we just
or
do
ignorance.
Can we just do the rest of this episode without Josh? I can't.
So the next time we see Gawyn,
You see me, I'm talking about
He is-
everything I can that like we've learned kind of through some semblance around Gawyn without
Right.
actually
Without
talking
actually
about Gawyn. Because if we actually talk about what Gawyn contributes to the story, we do the intro, the outro, and be done.
No, he
So-
does.
Not
actually
entirely.
No.
He'd get
the
like
next
5
time we
minutes.
see him, he does have something very valuable to add.
He does.
All right. So the next time we
It's
see
his
him,
royal bullshit that he gets to add.
oh, I'm going a different direction with this.
Oh, okay.
So the next time we see him, he and Galad are training with the warders at the White Tower, right? As is
Wait,
tradition.
there are warders at the White Tower.
Only on days that end in Y.
I hate ice cubes.
So they're
I-
training
okay.
with
One
warders.
just dumped into my cup and
And-
splashed me. All right, leave me alone.
Ah, yes.
Galad is simply supreme with a blade. He knows how to handle his blade. And he and Gawyn are constantly sparring each other. And Gawyn is getting really, really good with a sword.
Well, because Gawyn
Gawyn
knew the first rule of training sword fighting. If you're the best sword fighter in the room, leave the room. But if you're the second best sword fighter in the room, keep training against the best sword fighter in the room.
and that's exactly what they did. They kept training those two together because they know how important Gawyn's mission is, which is to
Jeez.
protect Elaine at all costs. And so they keep going up against Galad, and this is part of another reason why I think I'm wondering if he is, admiring Galad a little bit, if he learns that some of that admiration, because you see Galad just getting praise after praise after praise after everybody thinks he is the shit, and at some point in time, that's gotta fuck with you mentally. Like there's that episode of My Name Is Earl. Are you guys familiar with the show My Name Is Earl?
I am.
He makes a list of all the people that he's wronged. He goes to right the wrongs because he wants to fix his bad karma and get back onto good karma.
I grew up in South Carolina.
And
All right. My name is Earl was the story of my first, second, third, and fifth removed uncle. Yes, we only count 5 with 4 fingers.
My name is Earl. My name is Earl. No, but I like there's an episode where he like meets this guy.
My second uncle, my third uncle.
Who's a he meets a guy who's a complete tool. And the guy's just a jerk to everyone. He's a jerk to employees. And, you know, at one point in time, he's like, well, maybe karma did him dirty in another area. Goes to the bathroom, peeps over the stall. The dude's well endowed. And Earl just can't figure it out. Like, why? Why did bad karma give me such a raw deal, but he's such a jerk and he's got such a great life?
Why do I remember this episode?
Dude, it's a good one. I gotta.
Which is really weird because as soon as you mentioned the bathroom thing, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that scene from that episode.
So, Gawyn has got to be thinking, why the hell does everyone love him? He is a douche, and I hate him. Why does everybody love him? Maybe it's because he's better with the sword. So I'll train super hard with the sword. And my guess,
spoiler alert,
a lot of this is like theory.
Spoiler alert.
My guess.
2 really big things that make Gawyn so popular are number 1, he's extremely attractive. And number 2, when you're actually training for a militant position, being a rule follower to a fault is actually a good thing.
Very
via the authority
it's a very attractive
that
trait.
is coming down from above you. That's like, follow all orders without question and never ask me any fucking questions. So the fact that all of the orders think
that's a good point.
Great, is because their Aes Sedai think that he's hot as fuck. He picks up the sword like a motherfucker, and he doesn't question his order.
Well, I mean, imagine how many like nobles or pseudo nobles they've probably trained that are used to a life of like relative pampered luxury that come in with like, well, yeah, they probably treat everybody else like, oh, I just got into boot camp, you know, oh, they're gonna fuck with everybody, but not me. I'm of noble birth. And so the warders have to break that mentality first of all. Yeah,
yeah.
It's the fucking JRTC cadet that goes straight into basic training and thinks he knows everything. But Gawyn,
thank you for your future service.
Oh God, no! I've seen some shit in the halls of this high school. People running, people falling, people being late for class. You don't know what I've seen. But yeah,
shit.
But Gawyn isn't that way. He's much more down to earth, which I think is definitely a byproduct of him not having a role in the royal court. So now, training to be a warder,
yes,
I might find a purpose that actually like does this, and I still have a claim to nobility. So, you know, it's my duty as a nobleman to do the right thing. And he comes at nobility from a really good point. And I think Gawyn has the inclination to do so at the beginning. But then life throws its first curveball at him. And instead of, you know, fucking taking the hit or dodging it and moving on to straight and narrow, he fucking chases the curveball off into left field. But it's not even left field. Like, it's outside of the entire ballpark. It's a cow pasture full of cow patties, and he's tripping and falling face first into all of them, and occasionally finding a truffle or two that people enjoy. That's about it.
Well, the sad part is that, okay, so I'm gonna tell you Gawyn's story right now, allegorically. Gawyn is the
That's what I just did.
No, but Gawyn is the first round draft pick who is on the baseball field because he's a legacy player. He gets thrown one curveball, hits it way out behind the field, not in home run territory, but in foul ball territory, goes and follows it down to the cow pasture, falls face first in all of the cow pies. As you said, I'm completely in agreement. But all the while, there is this wonderful, attractive, intelligent, awesome woman who is following him around this cow pasture going, Gawyn, you know that you don't need to find this curveball or fall face first into all of these cow pies. And he goes, yeah, but the curveball was sent to me, or was thrown at me by the Dragon Reborn. And she goes, no, but it wasn't though. But that's the best part, is it wasn't. It was actually thrown by someone else, and you should go back to the field and play the game that you're supposed to be playing.
And hearing that, he ignores all of it and then switches over and starts using the baseball bat like a golf club. Changes games entirely.
Yes, 100%. He is the Michael Jordan.
And somehow hits it further away from the ballpark still.
So I love, you've got Gawyn and Gilad training. They're doing their thing. Gawyn's getting his ass kicked daily, but he's doing better, just a little bit better every day. And then one day they see this skinny kid walking around with a stick, and they're like, dude, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm Matt, dude. Don't you remember me? And Galad's like, they're like, what? Oh my God. And then they're like, we should spar. And Matt's like, sure, why not? Let's do it. That'll be great. I could make some money to get out of here. Beats the hell out of him.
You and I remember this situation very differently.
Well, I'm paraphrasing.
Well, but even paraphrasing, I remember it being all of the other warders went, hey, you guys should spar. And all three of them went, nah, we actually think that's a bad idea.
Well, but then
they got
the topic
down,
of
and
money
Matt
comes
was
up.
like, all right, fine. If there's money on the line, then I guess I'll fight you.
Exactly. I think it was Gilad who first said it.
Yes.
Was like, I'll give you an Andorran crown.
Yes, because
and then like
Galad
all the other warders were like, we're in on this action, bro. Let's do this.
That is the one
Matt sees an opportunity to make
that Galad has, which is overconfidence that he passes on to his little brother in spades. I swear, every time Galad hits
right there.
Gawyn with his sword, he just gives him a little bit more.
He's imbuing him with arrogance. They forgot to mention that he was training with the Shinai of arrogance, +5 to arrogance every time you hit someone.
Indeed.
That's a good weapon, actually. That's a good idea for D&D.
Right? They have this fight.
That's a good weapon.
Galad and Gawyn do get beat. It's not a horrible beat, but it is not good. It definitely embarrasses them in front of everyone. And the Aes Sedai now really don't like Matt because he beat up their hero. And Gawyn's like, okay, #respect. And Galad's like, fuck you right in the butthole, sheep herder. And then Matt leaves. And then almost immediately after this particular thing, because Matt has just left the city, there's a coup. And it's a bad one. It's a really bad coup. Not that all coups aren't bad, but this one's like particularly horrendous. And people get stilled and people get murdered because they're choosing sides, and it is civil war in the tower. And in the throes of this, Gawyn, and I definitely am of a mind that it's both the skills that he's gotten training with Galad, but also the fact that the trainer of the warders doesn't quite have his heart in it and can't bring himself to just murder Gawyn. So he's fighting with a bit of a hand tied behind his back. Gawyn just straight up murks the dude. Earns himself a blade master role for it because he is a blade master and Gawyn kills him.
By the virtue,
And then he takes over as leader of the warders.
Well, the two warders he kills is Colin and Hamar.
Yes, and
And
Hamar
Colin is one of the
leader
people that
of
have been
the-
trying to train. Yeah. And Hamar is
Yeah.
literally the guy that made him and Gawyn fight Matt.
Mhm.
Just to teach them a
Correct.
lesson about combat. Because he goes into the story of how the greatest blade master in all of history was felled by a farmer with a quarterstaff.
That's right.
So
Yep.
Because he got cocky. And that's one of the hardest lessons to, which, I mean, when you look at it from a training perspective, one of the hardest lessons to teach in the classroom is yeah, you're great. Your sword is fast, your strikes are precise, but it could be better. No, what are you talking about? I'm great. Here I am going toe to toe with the best swordsman anyone's ever seen. And yeah, I'm losing, but I'm going toe to toe with him. Like, what more could you teach me? And Matt serves as this really great, like a humbling block, where it's like, just because you're good doesn't mean you're the best, first of all. And secondly, just because you're good at fighting someone with a sword doesn't mean you're not going to fight someone with other weapons.
Well, and that was
You
actually
need to be mindful of this.
that was actually my favorite part of the story, because there are sort of two things that happen in that fight. And that's, number one is, I know that no one else technically knows it, but I feel like Galed and Gawyn feel it in the fight, because you get to know someone very well when you fight them or when you fuck them. Those are the two ways that you like really get to know a person. And there is something very, very special about Matt. We know this as readers, because not only is he Taviran, but the nature of his Taviran is very special. And when Gawyn and Galad fight him, they're not fighting a swordsman at all, because he's not wielding a sword. But they're not just fighting not a swordsman. They're not fighting a human. Like, they are, but they're not.
Right.
And suddenly it's that idea of, again, a plan is only as good as the first stroke falling. And while Matt is technically following the rules of a duel, he's not following the rules of a duel. And when you're out on a battlefield, nobody's fucking following the rules of a duel. So if you come up on a person who's as good as you are with a different weapon that you don't know as well, and they're throwing sand in your face, you got to be able to improvise, adapt, and overcome like a motherfucker.
Well, it's also a lesson in hubris.
Yes, 100%.
Because they offer Matt a training sword, and he grabs a quarterstaff and says, "Oh no, this'll do." And they scoff at him. They're like, "Oh, such a primitive, lowbrow weapon. There's no way it could take me out." And then it does.
This is not a weapon of nobles.
Like, I don't know how many people have spent time around weapons, and I'm not saying that I have. But thankfully, through D&D, I have been able to think about it quite a lot on the logistics of a sword fighter fighting somebody with a quarterstaff, and the advantage the quarterstaff has just purely on reach and mobility, because you can grab it anywhere, spin it around anywhere, and gain tremendous momentum with it, is absolutely ludicrous.
Yes.
And then later in the series, they're like, "Hey, yeah, that was really cool and all. Now we're going to give you a sharp, pointy bit on the end of it, and you could do this all again."
Yep.
Also, in that fight, it's very,
and it's a
very
third age portal gun.
I really, I really want the scene that this happens in the show to just have Matt go over and pick up the quarterstaff, but have it be small, like have it be like in his hand, and then he just walks over and one side comes out and then the other side comes out, and you just see da-da.
You bastard. No.
Do they get the surprised filter too?
One of the things I will say that I like, yes, oh my god, I'd still laugh at that.
That's how they should reveal the Donald map.
Oh, there you go.
Hood up, goes through this whole fight, and then once they're all like on their ass, Galad and Gawyn both look up and they're like, "Who exactly are you?" And he throws back the hat, the hood, and he's like,
Matt Cawthon.
Matt Cawthon.
No, wait. Cawthon.
Matt
Matrim
Cawthon.
Cawthon. And then he sips his martini and skates off. No, it's interesting you guys talk about like
What
Matt
the
would
fuck
definitely-
on
podcast
his
did you
Heelys.
watch?
He
On
would
his
definitely
Heelys.
he would definitely scuttle away like Zoidberg. All right.
Matt
Oh my god.
Matt wears Heelys. Matt wears Heelys.
I would totally be okay with Matt wearing Heelys if he doesn't go ahead and do the hood. He actually just has a pair of sunglasses on his head, and they go, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Cawthon, Matrim Cawthon." No, doesn't use his fingers. He goes, "Shunk."
Funk. I like what we're talking about when it talks about who's following the rules, because anybody who's done anything with like martial arts, any kind of study with martial arts, particularly when it comes to like jujitsu and judo and the things where you're throwing and falling and being thrown,
Fujitsu?
anybody who knows how to behave in a classroom, they know that you in a classroom behave very differently than you would on the street. Like that's just how it is.
Yes, definitely.
When
In the
you
classroom
throw
or fist fight on
some-
the street is a very different story.
when you throw someone in a classroom, they're going to be rolling with you or flipping with you so that
'cause
they
it makes
don't
landing
get
it-
their wrist broke.
Yeah, no,
And
exactly.
B, it actually helps you learn to perform the maneuver properly.
Mhm.
So when Matt comes out and
Use
he's
that kind
just
of
a
training.
complete and total wild card, he doesn't know the rules of the training yard. They're like, okay, we're doing the rules of the training yard. And they learn very quickly, oh, this is a street fight.
Yep.
And neither one of them have the ability to really go, okay, street fight rules. Now they just keep doing
Hadouken!
what's always worked for them in the past, and
Hadouken!
it doesn't work for them this time. And that's the lesson that is taught to them. And it's just, it's a valuable one. And I think that is another piece of what molded Gawyn into his future overconfidence, is that he looks at the situation and learns, oh, this is how it is. And yeah, it gets real dicey from there. But yeah, he's a hand.
Yeah,
Let's push forward into Galwyn's legacy of fuckery.
Yeah. Which thankfully it's not that long, because he kind of just keeps showing up basically at exactly the same place that he was. So for many books, his legacy of fuckery just looks very similar.
Yeah. So you could potentially overlook his first decision to side with the Elida Tower during the coup and killing Kulin and Hamara, because maybe he doesn't know. Ignorance is bliss. He's just trying to follow the rules and do what he's been told from day one he should be doing, protecting the Aes Sedai and the tower and fighting off who he sees as rebels and who he's probably been taught by his mother and his mother's court over and over again that rebels, the rebellion has to be squashed for effective rule.
The rebellion must be quashed.
But he has so much time to see that that's not exactly what happened. Even the warders and everybody find out that there's some shenaniganry, some severe shenaniganry around the disposition of Suan and Leanne.
Deposition.
Yeah. What did I say?
Disposition.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay, I guess.
It works.
They were deposed.
That's
Anyway.
also an accurate statement, though.
I mean, you're not wrong. That is correct. Well,
Anyway.
and he himself says quite a number of times in the story, like, they keep on sending me to die. They don't like me. They don't actually want me here. And they keep on like trying to get me and my younglings killed. And the
And he's
only
not
reason
wrong.
we're still alive is because we're really good at what we do. And you're like, bro, leave. What the actual fuck are you doing here still?
Well,
Get
the very
out.
first task that Elida sends Gawyn and his younglings on is to accompany and protect Aes Sedai to make an alliance with the Shido Aiel.
Yep.
Obviously, to the end goal of capturing the dragon, capturing Rand. And it is during this meeting.
Yet, but also.
Yeah. So it's during the meeting between the Aes Sedai and the Shido Aiel that Gawyn is first told about Andor being taken by the dragon, and it's portrayed as this very harsh, this very crude battle, and he comes away not knowing, but simply believing that Rand, as the dragon, has killed his mom, has killed Queen Morghese, because he's so confident that his mom would never surrender the throne, even to the dragon reborn, that the only way that she could have been removed would have been to have been killed.
Via her death, yeah.
And the Aes Sedai knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, they purposely manipulated him. And he stuck around because he still thinks, for some reason, that they're going to give Elaine back to him. Like, and that's the only reason they kept him around.
So
Holy
he goes off of this.
Gawyn is 6'5".
Oh, he's a tall boy. Tall boy.
According to the wiki, he is 6'5".
Holy shit, what are you, 6'5"? I didn't know they stack shit that high. So
sorry,
he goes
continue.
to this meeting.
I just saw that and I was like,
so he goes through this, and this starts a legacy of dialogue and statements that is almost as annoying as Failgate. It's only less annoying because you see it a little bit less in the books. But from this point forward, Gawyn is dead set and determined to make Rand the Dragon dead as retribution. Fuck the prophecy. Fuck that he's supposed to probably save the world. Fuck that he's best friends with my boo thing. Fuck that he is the lover of my sister who I'm supposed to be protecting, but it's no longer convenient for me. So fuck that duty. Yep. Fuck all of that. Yep. I just want to kill Rand. I want to kill Rand. And it doesn't matter who tells him that Rand didn't kill his mom. Because the next time we see him is in Kyrian.
Everybody eventually.
Yeah. Well, the next time we see him is in Kyrian. And he links up with the Gawyn again. They do this whole love confessional thing. Yeah. They do this whole love confessional where he does this like super fucking creepy thing of just appearing in the road beside her and walking with her. And you're just sitting there like, bruh, like fucking chill out, Ted Bundy. Holy fuck.
Yep.
But no, this is how they do, and then they confess their love, and then Egwene leaves to, do good things. And Gawyn's like, I'm gonna do good things too. Like escort the Aes Sedai that captured Rand all the way to Demise Wells.
He should have died at Demise Wells.
And then he talks about how much of a struggle it is to stay out of the Aes Sedai business and let them handle Rand whenever all he's got to do is go over and just like stab the box. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry that you're not good at stabbing the box, but everybody has their failings.
We've all got our flaws and weaknesses.
Yeah. So he gets his first like real serious loss as any kind of militaristic style leader at Demise Wells. Mm-hmm. This is his first really unsuccessful mission. And it just drives him to hate Rand even more. He doesn't blame the Aes Sedai. He's so focused on his hatred of Rand that he doesn't look at how he might be on the wrong side of history, not even history, the now, that he's just like, you know what? Because his people showed up and we lost the battle and all these Aes Sedai and younglings under my charge died, he needs to die all the more. And it's then he basically says that it's only because of his love for Egwene and how Egwene cares for Rand that he's not going to raise a hand against Rand, but then tries to do the most like bro Chad move and looks at Rand as like, I will see you dead, Rand al'Thor. And at this point, Rand's like
I don't even know who you are. Like,
and he's like, I'm gonna die anyway.
You took everything from me. I don't even know
who you are.
He's like, Rand at this point is just like, yes, I'm going to die. That's what being the Dragon Reborn means.
Because that's what dragons do.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
know,
secret, Cap.
I-
I die and I know things.
I gotta
Wait, what?
say, this conversation is harmful to my mental health because I'm actually kind of going, wow, he actually has a very sophisticated set of blinders on right now, which is
Mhm.
giving him a very bad case of tunnel vision.
Mhm.
Oh, he's
He
wearing
is so
VR goggles
close.
right now.
Yeah, he is so close to the situation. He is unable to make a healthy situation. It's not that he's actively making bad decisions because he's well informed and he goes, I just think I do stupid thing. Once again, we've talked about this series and how Robert Jordan is a master of perspective. And if we put ourselves in Gawyn's
Say it.
boots,
Dark
if we
sauce
put ourselves
packet
in his
boy.
boots, here's my thinking. This woman says to me she will make sure that I have Elaine returned to me. She's Aes Sedai. She cannot lie. My first responsibility is to Elaine. Therefore, I must stay with this woman in order for her to keep good on her promise to give me back my sister so that I may fulfill my duties as her first sword. So then he has
First
to
prince.
be her errand boy now. He has to serve her, perform tasks, whatnot. He says straight up, they're trying to kill us, but we're too damn good at what we do. At Demise Wells, I think shit goes real fucky for him because I think it's at that point that he learns first off that Elaine isn't in the tower. And so he's kind of like, oh, this sucks. He learns that Andor has come under the rule of one of the Forsaken. Well, Lord Gabriel, they don't know he's a Forsaken at the moment. And that the rumor is running rampant that the Dragon Reborn has killed his mother. So now he has this woman who's promised to give him back his sister. Service to her is all that much more important because now Elaine is the queen, the rightful queen. And now shit just got desperate. So now he has to take matters into his own hands because he realizes that an Aes Sedai did say, but she didn't say when. And then what else does he see? Men who can channel showing up to save the Dragon Reborn. So not only did the Dragon Reborn kill his mother, but the Dragon Reborn is amassing men who can channel. Not only is he going to kill his country, he's going to kill the world again. And God, I gotta say, when I start looking at it from his perspective, I probably would have done the same goddamn thing.
Yeah,
Don't
but
say
you got to
that,
have those
Josh. Don't
massive
say that.
blinders on.
Yeah, edit that out, Andrew. Edit that out. Don't.
No,
No,
well,
I'm
and
leaving it. You're gonna
fix
have
that
to
in
live with that
post.
on the internet for the rest of your life.
Well, and here's one of the things that I actually think is interesting about Gawyn's story is the idea that as he goes further and further down the road, Josh makes a good point that it does get harder to turn around at every instance of making the choice to stay. And we already know that Gawyn does have a certain amount of, oh, you think I can't do this? Okay, great. Hold my beer. And so every time that the Aes Sedai actually put him and his men in danger and they come out unscathed or with minimal losses, he does definitely have that resurgence of arrogance, that resurgence of, see, hold my beer fucking works. Like, and so there is definitely that part. And again, I do see very much the Aes Sedai that I am following are the antithesis of Rand al'Thor. The Aes Sedai that Mabuthang is leading is thinking that they're going to ally themselves with Rand al'Thor. If I am actually hell-bent on Rand al'Thor's destruction and saving the world from the Dragon Reborn, and one set of people is saying, oh yeah, no, we're super into that. We're going to make sure that he doesn't go ahead and kill everyone at Tarmangaiden. And the other set is going, we don't actually have any fucking idea what's going to happen at Tarmangaiden, but that guy's got to be there. And maybe we should let him do some things.
I didn't think I'd make it this far.
Tarmangaiden. Definitely it is more appealing when you hate someone's guts to see them in a prison in the safest place on Earth until they have to go ahead and fulfill their duty as the chosen one. Than to have them run around rampant, being able to do all kinds of things, including kill other people's mothers. Now, again, I think that he is horrendously misinformed at the beginning and doubles down on his misinformation over and over and over again, which I cannot agree with, which is one of the reasons, again, sort of universally, just because we feel like we can understand certain aspects of Gawyn, and we can. He's a well-written character in terms of what he brings to the story. But no, all of them combined is just too much. It makes a character that I cannot actually see myself walking a mile in their shoes, because I'd get a quarter mile into it and go, why am I not wearing shoes anymore and walking on broken glass? This doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, and let's look at what it ultimately takes for Gawyn to realize, hey, maybe, just maybe, I made a bad decision. So after
I made bad fucky wucky.
Yeah, and Elida tried to make me sleep in the forever box, because that is what he comes to when he leaves Dumai's Wells and is like, we'll just go back to the tower, I guess. He goes back with what remains of the younglings, gets to the tower, and is stopped by the Tarvalin guards and told that under strict orders of the Amerlin, they are not allowed inside the walls of Tarvalin. And he just kind of goes, but why though? And they're just like, because she said so. And he's like, but why though? And they're like, because she said so. Now go do something useful. And then he's like, okay, well, we can't really, his next thought is, okay, well, maybe now's a chance to go back to Andor and see what's going on in Camelin and maybe, restore the throne and do that. But he can't because of the winter. And there's, this little thing called the entire fucking rebel army that is actively at this point laying siege to the White Tower.
Pops out of nowhere in some ways.
Yeah. And Gawyn, while he's thinking about, did I make the right or wrong decision, doesn't sit there and keep moving his younglings around to avoid combat and stay safe, because obviously neither side wants him or his group. He's like, well, we'll just continue with the prescribed thing. The lady that said we're not allowed in the house, so we got to stay outside, like outside dogs. But we're going to keep working for her. And they run guerrilla raids on the rebel army under the command of Gareth Bryn.
Yep.
Led by his previous mentor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And eventually, Gawyn sits down and for one of the first times in his life, thinks hard about the shitstorm that has been his life since coming to the tower and goes, it really seems like Elida meant for me to die at Dumai's Wells.
Or any of the other missions that she's sent me on.
And he finally takes hold of this idea and is like, this has got to be this. And he's like, well, I can't send my younglings against the armies of Gareth Bryn because they're gonna inevitably die, because Gareth Bryn is the shit. But I also can't make them traitors. And eventually he spars with Sleet and Marlesh and learns that Egwene has been captured in the White Tower. And of course, for Gawyn, this is the straw that breaks the first Prince of the Sword's back. Yep. And he abandons the younglings, tells them to continue to follow Elida because he is convinced that Elida is going to execute Egwene. And so he goes to the Rebel Tower, not because he thinks they're right, not because he thinks Elida is wrong, not because, Elida tried to get him killed several times, but because he thinks that Gareth Bryn and Suan and the rest of the Rebel Aes Sedai and military are the only chance at saving Egwene. Fuck what's right. Fuck all this. I don't idolize my brother anymore. I don't give a shit. Let's save Egwene.
and Gareth Bryn even like berates him a little bit and reprimands him and says, your duty is to Elaine. Now you've gathered these men under your banner and you're just going to abandon them. And he's like, oh, I can't lead them to death. I can't make them into traitors. And Gareth Bryn is like, buddy, the second you took charge, that blood is on your hands. It does not matter what happens. When they agreed to follow you and you agreed to leave them, you took a responsibility for those men.
Welcome to being a goddamn adult, Gawyn. Maybe you should try it sometime.
And I love how Gawyn's like, well, fine. Jeez. Like he just kind of shrugs it off. He's kind of like, well, okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally
he ends up. Go ahead.
I was going to say, finally, after being berated by Gareth Bryn about abandoning his charges, abandoning his men, which Gareth Bryn, of course, is like, I never taught you to abandon what you were accountable for. He finds out
and
the only reason.
Like, shut up! You're not my real dad.
Yeah.
Are you?
They finally talk about Gareth Bryn and Suan tell him that they're under strict orders from Gawyn not to come and try to rescue her from the White Tower. But she's doing fine, and she's actually doing really well from the inside. And then he finally talks to Gareth.
Sit down ever because of the buttocks, but also she's doing real well.
And that's whenever Gawyn finally learns about Lord Jabril and all the fuckery there. And he's like, but Rand definitely killed my mom. And Gareth looks at him like he has 69 heads and is like,
nice.
Where the fuck did you get that idea? Like,
boy, there's something not right with that boy. Suan?
Yeah. And he's like, no, of course not. And then like to try to like show like his fealty to the rebels, he leads Bryn to Shamiran, who is of course was an Aes Sedai, technically, depending on your viewpoint, is or isn't, that was demoted to accepted by Elida, and was hiding amongst the watching
about it.
Yeah. Well, she has the longest combined training of any other Aes Sedai except for Daigen.
Yep.
But I thought, if I remember correctly, that she goes to the Rebel Tower initially as a spy
to
try to like redeem herself. Yeah. So she does initially kind of come as a spy, but then under questioning by the Rebel Aes Sedai, she discloses how she got out of the White Tower to come out and do all of this with the Storm Drain Tunnel, which then leads the route for Gawyn and Gareth Bryn and Suan and a bunch of the Rebel Aes Sedai and a small contingent of their military force to then enter Tarvalon and into the White Tower during the Shan Shan raid on the tower.
Is that the name of Brandon Sanderson's next book series? He's got the Stormlight Archive and then the Storm Drain Tunnel.
Could be. Logically makes sense.
I actually kind of like this particular point in the story because this is actually where Gawyn, like you said, this is where he starts to get kind of self-reflective. And as the reader, we're looking at this going, oh, please.
Top 10 anime redemption arc.
The redemption arc, the beginning of the redemption arc. We always want a good redemption. Egwene says, bro, you got that booty, and I like it, and you surely are a cutie. And Gawyn's like, I love you, Egwene. I love you, Egwene. And she's like, oh my God, bro, stop being so extra.
No, she's definitely like, tell me again.
Yeah.
Tell me with that butt.
But don't stop. But don't stop.
Say it with your chest.
And she's the Amrilyn at this point in time. She agrees to accept him as her warder, but straight up says, "You will be my warder." Like, that means you do what I tell you to. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, absolutely, absolutely," as all young men do when trying to impress a lady. Okay,
Well,
I'm not
also-
gonna fault.
Oh,
I'm not
that was
gonna fault Duck
that was
Sauce for
quite a
this
while
one.
later. There's a
Correct.
little bit that
But
happens.
that's.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately where it goes.
I mean, that's where I was going with it. Is there something of note between those events?
At least with Gawyn.
I mean, it's not really
I'm
of
using
note, but it's
note loosely because it's Gawyn.
well, I mean, it's stuff that happens like from that point forward. Gawyn, like, and this really starts like some of the more significant trends of his fuck ups. I mean, everything else was already significant, but you can claim misinformation, you can claim ignorance, you can claim he was swayed by the wrong side, whatever. Moving forward, there is no amount of excuse for the fucking that happens with Gawyn.
Correct.
Because
right.
He's now playing with a full deck.
Yeah. Because now he decides he's going to stick to Egwene like flies on stink on shit. Will not leave her side. And Egwene just practices this whole thing of just ignoring him. Like, bruh, you're doing way too much. Chill the fuck out. And
you finally, are so extra.
Finally, they get into this argument. Gawyn shows up. They had a trap for an assassin in the White Tower, and Gawyn completely fucks it up for everybody else. And Gawyn finally decides that he's going to move from his super clingy, like, tonight will be the night I will fall for you, secondhand serenade phase, into his full-on My Chemical Romance phase.
And he just like clean up your looks with all the lies in the books to make a first prince out of you.
Yeah, and that's what he tries to do. He leaves and says, "You know what, Egwene, I love you more than anything, but I'm gonna go check on my sister," and fucks off to Camelin to visit Elaine. It's there that he learns about Asha'man blood knives from a former Soldam. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, no, but you're right. I was gonna say something out of order. Keep going. I'll shut up.
It's there that for some reason it becomes important that Gawyn finds out about Teleron Riyadh, and that meant that Egwene was vulnerable to assassination attempts, which literally just gives him a purpose to return to Tar Valon. But he does show up just in time to do one of like maybe two redeeming things he does in the entire series. And he does thwart an assassination attempt by 3 Asha'man blood knives, nearly dying in the process.
Yep.
And Egwene wakes up, and I mean, they were already in love, but there was already this like weird high school style argument of you're too clingy, I don't like you, oh, you don't like me, I'm gonna leave, and then you come back just in the nick of time. It's like every cliche romantic like confession moment in every fucking series ever. And Egwene finally says, okay.
I was just gonna say, Gawyn keeps telling him, "You are my warder. I have accepted you as my warder. And until you treat me like the Amerlin and obey my word absolutely, that's all this is going to be." She's like laying down the law very, very strictly with him because she's trying very hard to win the respect of everybody around.
Well, that's what's about to happen now.
So even though Gawyn, but
because he's not her warder until after he saves her.
Oh, that's right.
Well, and so
it's whenever she wakes up and sees the 3 dead, like Asha'man blood knives.
He's proving himself.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he's trying to.
He's proving himself. Yeah, trying to.
Well, it's because she wakes up and she's like, "Oh shit, you actually did something that helped me by keeping me alive. I'll make you my warder." And just to taint, and she agrees to marry him, which, spoiler alert, never actually comes to fruition, thankfully. But by all means, be happy. But these fucking Gawyn, not these motherfuckers, just that motherfucker. But to immediately taint, it's a kind of like, oh, this is cool. Like, you know, maybe maybe now with her as his Aes Sedai, with being the warder to the Amerlin, it'll knock some semblance of sense into his head. And he immediately goes, ooh, shiny rings, yoink, and throws them in his pocket. And everybody that kind of saw what was going to happen was kind of like, you had one chance, one opportunity in this lifetime, and you
just
blew
let it slip.
Yeah.
No, and honestly, I get it. I do, in terms of he is now extremely jaded on the White Tower, and he is extremely jaded on the Amerlin seat, and he is extremely wary of everything Aes Sedai, because up until this point, the experience that he's had with Aes Sedai are they're lying sacks of shit who try to get me and my charges killed. However, the fact that he follows Elida with such little resistance, and then a good Amerlin seat steps up to the plate, and he's like, no, I'm not listening to you. You're a dumbass. Is like, Gawyn, I will kill you myself. Like, I will come into the pages and murder you myself before you can get water bonded to Egwene, because fuck you so hard in the butthole right now. Like, I hate you so much.
Yeah, yes, that is an excellent point there.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So from here, after Egwene is like, hey, the last battle is coming. We need to go and deal with this. He goes with Gawyn and when she moves all of Tarvalon's forces to the field of Marilor. And finally, Gawyn no longer has to live a life of hatred off of hearsay. I don't know why I went full Italian hand with this. But he looks across the field.
Does Gawyn have to live a life of a heresy?
He looks across the field of Marilor, and who does he see but the very healthy, the very happy, the visage of his mother, the former Queen Morghese.
Mama. I see his mama right across the way.
And Mama, they said you were dead, but I can see you with my own eyes. You are alive.
They said you were killed by the dragon.
Why do I want to watch Master of Disguise again now? The mama and the papa.
I love how even she looks at him and she's like, I mean, like, it's good to see you, but really?
She basically looks at him and is like, you really think that the dragon reborn could kill me? Like,
where's your sister? Aren't you supposed to be watching your sister?
You did not come from my loins, like, there's no fucking way. I was there and I don't believe it. But Rand has Gawyn sign the Dragon's Peace as well, just in case he rises to a position of leadership. He's like, you're so fucking dumb that just in case, by some stroke of Darwinism failing out 1,000 times in a row, you become a leader of something, you're signing this.
In case you fail up,
I mean,
hard enough.
Darwin has failed out that many times.
Oh wait, I was wrong. They do get married
by mere virtue. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, I was wrong.
By virtue of the fact that
anyway, it's a really simple, quick ceremony done by a Sylvania Baryon.
Yep.
And that's when Gannon, of course, the former Sean Chan, agrees or swears an oath to serve Egwene, and Egwene is still just like, yeah, you swore an oath, but you're Sean Chan, so it doesn't mean shit until she comes in. She comes in clutch, kind of.
Was that Irish Egwene for a moment? You're still Sean. You're still
Sean Chan,
but you're still Sean Chan. So
you're still from Sean Chan. I don't know what I don't.
It's just an oath to fuck.
Until I see you drink an entire pint of Guinness and take 2 shots of Jameson with me, I'm not gonna believe a thing you say.
Gawyn starts he gets antsy about he's like, This whole time he's been stuck up Egwene's ass, and not even in the enjoyable way. Just he never like it's like a hemorrhoid essentially at this point. And then now that he sees all these people fighting, he starts to get that fucking warrior's itch, and he's like, just sitting around doing nothing, protecting the woman I love and just married. This is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Gets mad. Cuts down a few Trollocs that managed to get
trenches.
through. Yeah. Cuts down a few Trollocs. Still wants to fight. He's like analyzing. I don't know why it says analyzing the blood knife girl. He's just staring at the shiny ring, wondering what it really means. And he's like, when is the right time? But that's when Leolwyn comes in and is like, yeah, don't let it touch your blood because that will activate it. And when it does, you're going to die. And she's like, kind of about to say like, and you know who you're bonded to. And he just kind of like says, I got things to do. Like the one final voice is then like, you know what that's going to do to your wife. Like,
well, and okay, this is simultaneously the greatest and worst thing that Gawyn does. Because
yes,
it's horrifying because he knows what he's doing is bad and that it's going to get more than just him hurt. And he's going to harm someone else irreparably, even if he does actually fulfill what he's trying to do. However, it has two amazing side effects. Number one is we don't have to deal with Gawyn in the Fourth Age.
Throw yourself in and rid us of your stupidity.
Dead. And then number two is that in the throes of madness, if you will, that overtake Egwene as she feels Gawyn die, she goes Super Saiyan 12, rediscovers a weave that has never been done except for like one other time, incinerates the fuck out of an entire group of channelers who are actually kind of kicking ass. And then turns into Solid Crystal because she's like, I'm a queen bitch.
Wait.
And then
well, I like the blood knife
later on. I thought in order to prevent her from going into the throes of despair, Aegyanin and Bail Doman bond to her to become new warders.
Well, she bonds Ganon.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I don't think she bonds.
Yeah, she doesn't
bond. It's like taking aspirin for a migraine. Right. It dulls it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't actually like fully save her.
Yeah, and it might have actually saved her life, maybe.
Yes.
Had she not actually decided that this was a better use of her life.
Right.
But it definitely still would have been a horrible certain amount of time afterwards, even with this. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's in the perfect position because she's the same one. We used her other name, or I used her other name earlier, but it is Ganon that's like...
Gawyn.
Yeah, that sees Gawyn. Gawyn, Ganon, they're the same person. Sean-Chan loved to change names every time, like, they graduate second grade or some shit.
He is moving from the first grade into the second grade. It's psychotic.
Yeah. So, I mean, it works for her because she sees Gawyn with the blood knife rings, knows what's going to happen if he uses them. So whenever they find out that he did use them, that's essentially when Ganon is like, oh, we got to go.
Aspirin.
Yeah.
Aspirin to the Umberland seat.
Well,
right,
and she's
that's whatever she does.
Prove herself as well. She's trying to prove herself.
Well, she swore an oath, and she kind of demonstrates like the Sean-Chan do take their oaths incredibly seriously.
Yes.
So, and she demonstrates that by being like, I know, Mother, I know you're probably going to die doing whatever you're doing. Still bond me so that you can, whatever. Because, of course, initially Egwene is, like, completely offended. Like, you want me to bond somebody else? My husband just died. And again, it's like, yeah, but how about the fate of the world over the fate of your single dumbass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's this weird there's a whole hiding scene that happens after this because there's a massive, like, Gawyn's sitting there, like, looking out across the sea of fuckery and is like, all these Trollocs keep attacking the Aes Sedai, and they're massively losing this fight in numbers. And the Aes Sedai are holding their own. Why do the Trollocs keep doing this? And about the time he realizes, oh, distraction, this is Playbook 101, a massive Sauron army is gatewayed or travels into the midst of the Aes Sedai camp, routes the Aes Sedai. Gawyn and Egwene hide. Come to find out, someone else that we know fairly well, Leanne Sharif, is hiding as well. And we find that out whenever Gawyn and Egwene try to slip away. Leanne Sharif is detected.
And detected.
So they keep doing this. So Gawyn tells Egwene to stay hidden while he scouts ahead, and it's during this move when he activates one of the blood knife ter'angreal.
yeah,
And he notices that he can move faster with the ring on. And he gets too far ahead of Egwene, feels her panic when she's captured, comes racing back to her. But it's Ganon who saves Egwene. Gawyn continues to
because
scout.
she takes her oath seriously. Weird.
Yeah. He manages to defeat a dozen Saurons by himself with the blood knife ring, and they manage to sneak out of the camp and skim back to the tower. And it's later, he gets too impatient, puts on the remaining two or Dawning, the remaining two, is like, I'm going to go do something, fight Demandred, confronts him, and was like, oh, I don't recognize any of your forms. And Gawyn was like, oh, shit. Even with 3 blood knife ter'angreal, I can't even go toe-to-toe with you. And then Demandred's like, this is boring. Let's stab.
I love how Demandred makes fun of him first, though.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what those do, and you put them on? Dumbass.
Well, and again, he's even playing with him because in the scene, Gawyn's already dead. Demandred just ends his suffering because his blood has touched the rings.
Doesn't Demandred basically say that?
Him like 3 times in the fight, and his blood touches the rings. And
isn't that essentially what Demandred says? He's like, there's almost no point in fighting you. You're already dead.
No, and Demandred is almost like so this is the point where so people go ahead.
Show me your skill, and I may grant you mercy.
Yes.
So this is the point where everybody gives Galad a lot of credit for coming into the fight, and Demandred going, "Oh shit, okay, you're actually really good at this. I'm better.
You might have a little bit of
right.
skill.
I'm better than you, so I'm not actually afraid of you. But like, if I wasn't who I am, I'd be frightened." Gawyn,
think about what that means.
Like he does a little bit do that as well with his comment. I mean, it's way more condescending, and it's
like, oh, you're better than I thought, but you're still nothing.
No, exactly. It's he cuts him a couple of times. His blood touches the rings. Demandred knows what that means. He goes, buddy, why are you still fighting? Like, you're already done. And then Gawyn is basically like, because I need to take you out. And Demandred is like, okay, I actually respect your drive to try and do that. Again, never gonna fucking happen because you're already dead. But you know what? With that comment, with your continuing to try and kill me, I respect you enough to just end this and not have you suffer through a horrible blood knife death.
Yeah, I mean, and look, let's not. So this is one of the few times I'm going to say let's not scoff at what this means. Starting off with Gawyn, because Gawyn already had the skill. He had the training with Galad. He had the training where he was still losing, but was still holding his own to a relatively fair degree against Galad in the training grounds. And then took down not one, but 2 Blade Masters, becoming a legitimate Blade Master himself.
Yep.
And then leading the younglings through suicide missions where they should have died, greatly increasing his skill and training in the boss. Gawyn, for as much as he does terribly, is definitely a very, very good swordsman. And now he's bolstered by the benefits of 3 Blood Knife Terangrial. He should be like the best blade master in the Westlands, in all of Randland.
Yes.
By just pure hacks and base skill alone. Well, combined, not alone. Yeah. And Demandred just essentially plays with him and sweeps him away. And then Galad comes in and does even better. And that made me gain a lot of respect for Galad, because to do better than a by rights blade master with 3 Terangrial that are making him way faster and still put up more of a fight than that guy did, means Galad is incredibly strong. And then you look at Lan, and you're just like, I didn't realize they had Ultra Instinct in the Third Age, but okay.
Yeah. Lan, Ultra Instinct.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Dragon Ball Super, at least watch Ultra Instinct.
I was going to say, I feel like one of the things that actually serves Galad very well is that it's an interesting story arc, and I'm actually going to go into, now that we've actually sort of covered the history, I'm going to go into my final thoughts on Gawyn, and it's going to include some final thoughts on Galad. From the beginning, Gawyn is kind of a dumbass. And he just gets to be more of a dumbass as the books go on. Now, again, I still very, very much respect the character of Gawyn for his place in the books, because I have met people in my own life who I look at them and go, I can only describe you as a complete moron. You forward some people's plots, but you are so stupid or so ignorant or make such bad decisions in clutch situations that I cannot respect you. I understand you, but I cannot respect you. And that is Gawyn from start to finish. Almost every turn, there are I can count the number on one hand of times where I actually fully agree with Gawyn's decision and think he's doing the right thing. Every other time he's being a complete moron. Now, again, he has a lot of things going for him at the beginning of the books, and then he has a lot going not for him in the middle of the books, and by the end, he's damaged goods. That is absolutely true. And I think that it's a situation where Gawyn, in his training with Galad, and being closer to Galad and the Warders, and going ahead and going through all of this different stuff with his stepbrother, he ends up getting a lot better at certain things. Then it's kind of this perfect storm that happens where he gets into a position of authority that he doesn't really deserve, and that is really kind of a sham. And that's where Gawyn starts to really stagnate, if not actually start to fall. Whereas Galad leaves this situation, and now instead of being the best swordsman in the room, he goes to other rooms where he's learning new things, and he's getting better at different situations, and he's learning information, and he's learning personality, and he's learning gray area, and he's learning all of this different stuff. And so when he steps into the ring with Demandred at the end of the books, he is in such a better position based on what he's done since leaving the tower and stopping training as a warder. Whereas Gawyn only gets up to that point because he is still the exact same kid who couldn't beat his brother, but was close. And then his brother got way better, and he stayed here.
Yeah.
He puts on the rings and he gets better because he's got more skills because they're magic. But he never actually gets up to the
Exactly.
point of being Galad because he is just chilling at a level. He stays in the room where he's the best swordsman. He stays in the room where he's the best leader, and he's not that good at it.
Yeah. Well, it also
And-
seems like some of his. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and I'm just saying, like, Gawyn is such a tragic story of his own making. And it's the
Yes.
reason that we call him Duck Sauce and the reason that we don't like him is because of that stagnation, is because of whatever. And again, Robert Jordan didn't do a bad job writing the character. There are people who stagnate like to the nth degree. And Gawyn
Yes.
is the representation of that. But you're not supposed to like that. If you're not striving to be a better person in whatever way that means to you, even if it's not the way that other people think you should be a better person, if you are not striving to your own code of being a better person, I can't respect you. And that's what I feel about Gawyn. He stops trying to grow. He stops trying to get better. And I think that he's a very sad, tragic character because of that stagnation. And at the end, he just falls into a trap of his own making, and well written, but very hateable.
Yeah. A lot of Gawyn's kind of track record with fighting and everything is a hit and miss, and pun is kind of intended there. So he has these really
Hit or miss. I guess I'll
He's-
never miss. Huh?
he's like the super volatile stock market where you have these super like bullish highs immediately followed by these absolutely devastating bearish lows, or high highs and then low lows, because he's still very young, but he beats like Hamar, who bested Sleet, who had bested Land 2 out of 7 bouts, which is nothing to shake a stick at. Besting
Yes.
Land in half a bout is something to boast about. Well, that's
Yeah, no, that was
about
great.
whatever.
I loved it.
And then loses to Matt, which Taviran, Lucky, and in the books, Matt's dad isn't an absolute complete and total bastard, and is like the best quarterstaff
Yeah.
fighter in all of Amon's field. I mean, you can argue and infer some bastardness, I guess, there, but not to the degree that the show went with.
I'm
Why?
very good
Right.
at being a quarterstaff fighter and
The show
also
definitely
selling
took it.
horses.
Yeah. But even according to Robert Jordan, some of his fights he won more because of luck than Gawyn or readers may have realized. For example, in his skirmish with the Shido after Demise Wells, there was a Shido that he fought that was bumped from behind and fell into Gawyn's blow, allowing him to kill him.
Yes.
And then you see like this failure because he doesn't approach Damondred in this like very noble fashion. If I'm going to fight you to the death, he tries to ninja assassin the dude first because, well, that's what the Blood Knives tried to do. This ring must be really good for it. And Damondred is like,
It's also not a terrible strategy in war. Like, just
I mean,
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it was his best. I mean, I think Gawyn was right when he was like, this is my best chance of getting rid of this guy.
It's not
But then
rules
he
of
f-
engagement, but also like what rules?
Yeah. But then he fails. And Damondred is like, you're such a coward. Who does this? And he's like, you're okay, let's duel. And Damondred is like,
I can already tell. Yeah.
I commend your tenacity. Let's try this. And then just like mortally wounds him. But there's so much of Gawyn that, as much as there are characters that at least I and collectively we shit on all the time. But we do try to give those characters even their comeuppance, their due diligence in aspects where they do shine. Because not counting apparently any of the any of the Force of the Shadow sword fighters, because obviously Damandred would be on par with Lan. Robert Jordan ranked the four best sword fighters in the series as Lan being number 1, Rand being number 2, Galad being number 3, and Gawyn being number 4. Again, we'll assume that if he was asked, he would have put Damandred on par with Lan.
Well, there's no Shadow Spawn or Forsaken in that list, so I'm guessing that he actually just left them off.
Of the forces of the light.
That's what I was saying initially.
No, exactly.
The list I'm looking at doesn't expressly state the best sword fighters of the Force of the Light.
Correct.
So I am assuming that maybe when this question was asked of Robert Jordan, we weren't that far or even in book 14. So he wasn't going to sit there and be like, Damandred is like on par with Lan. And so he's just like, Rand.
Wait, so who's the best swordsman, or who are the top 5 swordsmen in all of Randland? Damandred. Damandred is one of the best swordsmen. Would you be nameless?
Yep.
I think that's exactly how it went down.
Yeah.
But
all right,
we've kind of talked about.
Nope.
Oh yeah. Did we already say we were doing final thoughts? I didn't know if we did or not.
Yeah.
Oh well, that was my final thoughts.
Yep. Okay. Anything else to say?
Nope.
Okay.
We've already talked about Gawyn way more than I thought we would.
Correct. And he doesn't even
my
have
final
any bads.
Thoughts with Gawyn is I'm actually glad we did this episode, because taking a few more minutes to think about it and really kind of dive deep into his character, I feel like I can see why he made some of the dumb decisions that he made.
Wrong.
And many of the decisions that he made that were dumb were very human decisions to make.
Correct.
The one decision that I feel is unforgivable, unexcusable, and in every single way absolutely shitty is the decision he made to take the blood knives and go attack Damandred. I'm sorry, there's no redemption from that. None. Period. Yeah. He knew all the facts and actively made a shitty decision when he knew better. He knew how it would affect Gawyn. He knew, I mean, there's just too much. And so he's the character that we wanted to get a redemption arc that we never got. I think, Daniel, you're spot on when you said, it's a very tragic story. It's a very sad story. But that's one of the things we love about these books. Not every story is a happy story. It doesn't have to be a happy story. So that's
like the story of Naruto.
On that.
It's like if you took the story of Naruto and never had him learn anything beyond multi-shadow clone jutsu.
Exactly.
And he just stayed at that level the entire series.
Sure.
Yeah. We're going to go with that. That's how it would have went.
I like what Morshadi in the live chat said, is that he is, in essence, reverse fridging. Because he pushes other people's stories ahead. And yeah, I don't hate it.
I do.
Well done,
Why are you continuing to just use that word when it does not mean what you think it means?
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for joining us on this week of the Black Tower podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and we thank you for conducting yourselves in an orderly fashion while receiving your weekly dose of taint. And we hope that after this episode, you're just a little bit more insane than you were when you first started. So from all of us here at the Black Tower, I have been Josh.
I have been Andrew.
And I have been hurt really hard on the inside by this episode, but I still think it was good. And I have also been Daniel. And from all of us here at the Black Tower podcast, thank you for going on that journey with us. Thank you for sticking with us and sticking by us just as hard as so many fucking characters stick by Gawyn. And we hope that you're having a lovely rest of, or a lovely morning, whatever day that is. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain. You've been having so much trouble just fitting